New CNN reporting into the Situation Room. Female staffers on Capitol Hill tell CNN they're afraid to speak out after experiencing sexual harassment from male colleagues. With one former female staffer telling my colleague Allison Gordon and me, a congressman asked her for a threesome when she worked on the Hill, and then later pulled her onto his lap in his office and tried to kiss her. She is one of more than a dozen of women who say they've faced harassment from House members or senior congressional staff, and nearly all of them say they chose not to report their experiences for fear of retribution or being blacklisted from future jobs, saying the risk of professional exile has always felt more immediate than the possibility of accountability. One woman who was harassed by a supervisor explained, "We're not silent because the harm wasn't serious enough. We're silent because we know we work in an environment where silence feels safer than speaking." And with the recent resignations of Representatives Eric Swalwell and Tony Gonzalez amid allegations of sexual misconduct with staffers, new attention is being paid to this issue and the complexities around addressing it. For more details, let's go to the team who has been reporting this out. Correspondent Lauren Fox and CNN investigative reporter Allison Gordon here in the Situation Room to talk about this. I know you all have been working on this for quite a while. And Allison, we've all been talking to so many women on Capitol Hill who say they experienced sexual misconduct but never reported it. So tell us more about why that is.
Yeah, Pam, I mean, you know more than anyone that we've been hearing from just a flood of women since the resignations of Eric Swalwell and Tony Gonzalez. Although their stories are different, there is connective tissue here. The women have told us that they feared both professional and personal repercussions, as you mentioned, being blacklisted or not having their anonymity protected through this process. They also described to me a real culture of secrecy and remaining silent while working on the Hill. And for many of these women, ultimately, they just decided it's not worth it to come forward.
And it's interesting, too, because Congress passed these reforms, I think it was nearly a decade ago, that was supposed to help survivors and hold harassers accountable. What are those options currently available, Lauren, and why aren't they enough?
Well, imagine that you're a young woman on Capitol Hill in your first, second, early career job. And you do have resources on Capitol Hill, but a lot of people don't know where to go. One of the options would be the House Ethics Committee. That is a committee that is run by members. You can obviously understand why that would be so intimidating as a young woman coming forward. There's also the Office of Congressional Workplace Rights, but that is a convoluted system of deadlines and having to make sure that you make decisions in a timely manner. And in a lot of ways, women say that even for lawyers who are used to going through that process, it's extremely opaque and convoluted. So those are just two of the options. There's also counselors you can seek. There's also free lawyers that you can get. But again, it's really an alphabet soup of offices and resources on Capitol Hill, and it's really hard to navigate. These things are not broadly advertised all over the hallways of Capitol Hill, so you really have to go and find out this research really on your own, which is part of the reason that this task force that's been created is trying to make it clearer and more streamlined.
Yeah, because it's not like a corporation where you have an HR department. You just go there and then it's handled, and it really is a labyrinth, or alphabet soup, as you so aptly put it. And Allison, you were part of the team that broke the story that led to the resignation of Congressman Swalwell. Then, as we know, Congressman Gonzalez resigned as well around the same time for misconduct. What more needs to be done to protect staffers on the Hill, given this culture that exists currently?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. And as Lauren said, I think Congress is trying to ameliorate that situation right now. In addition to some cultural changes that are needed, the women that I spoke with reiterated that we need to change the labyrinth of confusing options available. One woman I interviewed who actually did go forward with the ethics committee back in 2023 said that now that she works in the private sector, that robust private HR where she feels her anonymity is protected is so great, and stands in stark contrast to her experience as Congressional Hill staffer, where there was that confusing labyrinth and every step, she said, was, quote, a dead end. So women have told us that they need that change in culture, but also a change in the reporting process to feel more comfortable coming forward.
Yeah, and meantime, I know you've been speaking to the House Ethics Committee. One source told CNN that the House Ethics Committee's historical nickname has been the Member Protection Service. How is the committee responding to this reporting?
Yeah, I mean, look, the committee typically gives no comment. They don't want to be seen as going out there and having these conversations publicly. But I will note that in the wake of those resignations from Swalwell and Gonzalez, they did put out a really robust statement, making clear that they have done investigations on sexual harassment in the past. They've really chronicled where those investigations had gone in an unprecedented way, Pam. They realize they are coming under fire by not just these reports, but also members who argue this process is taking so long. And if you're a young woman and you're considering coming forward and members are saying publicly that they don't trust the ethics committee to move quickly enough, that might make you second guess whether or not you want to go to them.
And then, as we've seen, once the members leave, the committee loses jurisdiction.
Exactly.
Right? And
that's
so
another huge issue.
There's a concern of it not being accountability. All right, great reporting to both of you. Allison Gordon, Lauren Fox, thank you both.